The desert around Jericho was silent that winter morning, as if the sand itself waited for a monster to fall. Inside his marble palace, Herod the Great lay dying, but not defeated. Not yet. He had crushed rebellions, executed rivals, burned villages, rewrote dynasties, and spilled royal blood without hesitation. But now, the king who feared nothing, feared the one enemy he could not command. His body was breaking. His skin crawled with fever. His breath rattled like dry leaves. Yet when the physicians whispered that the end was near, Herod didn't tremble. He plotted. Because the king who spent a lifetime demanding loyalty had finally accepted a truth too bitter for him to swallow. No one in Judea would mourn his death. Not the priests, not the nobles, not the common people, not even his own sons. He would die hated. He would die alone. He would die unmourned. Unless... Herod summoned his sister Salome and her husband Alexis to his bedside. His eyes were hollow, but his voice still carried the venom of command. "Bring the elders of Judea," he rasped, "every respected head of every respected family. Gather them inside the hippodrome." Salome felt her stomach twist. "Why the elders?" she asked quietly. Herod's smile was thin, almost skeletal. "Because when I die, you will kill them, and the entire nation will mourn, not for me, but because of me." It was the most Herodian logic imaginable. If he could not earn grief, he would manufacture it. Across Judea, soldiers galloped from town to town, dragging elders from their homes. Old men respected for wisdom and honored for age were marched toward Jericho without explanation. People watched with dread, whispering, "What does the king want now? Why take the elders? God help us, he's dying, isn't he?" The elders arrived exhausted, trembling, expecting a trial, but instead of a courtroom, they were thrown into the massive hippodrome normally used for chariot races. The gates slammed shut behind them. They had become prisoners of a dying king. One elder pressed his hand against the wooden gate. "What does he intend?" he whispered. Another replied, voice shaking, "Herod never summons without blood. He wants witnesses to his death, or victims." Night fell. The elders prayed. The soldiers watched them like wolves. Inside the palace, Herod fought the darkness with the stubborn rage that had fueled his entire reign. Fever shook him, pain hollowed him, but his mind clung to his final plan. He muttered to himself, "They will mourn. They will mourn." He demanded hot baths, then cold ones. He tore at his sheets. He tried to rewrite his will again. Nothing eased the agony. His breath grew thin, his vision blurred, but he whispered the same 3 words. Salome stood by the door, horrified. Her brother was turning death itself into a weapon. Finally, near dawn, Herod's body seized, his breath rattled, and the cruelest king Judea had ever known exhaled for the last time. The palace froze. A servant whispered, "It is done." But the question that filled every corridor was far more terrifying. Would Herod's final order be carried out? Outside in the hippodrome, the elders still waited in terror. They didn't know the king was dead. They didn't know their fate now depended on a single choice. A choice Salome had to make.
The tyrant is dead, but his shadow still stands over Judea. Herod's chamber was dim when Salome stepped toward the bed. The tyrant's twisted face lay frozen, the cruelty still etched in his features, even in death. A physician bowed his head. "Your Majesty, King Herod is gone." Gone. The word felt unreal. A tyrant dead, yet his last command alive and ready to spill innocent blood. Alexis, her husband, placed a hand on her shoulder. "He told you what he wanted," he said, "but what do you want?" Salome looked at the king's corpse, and memories flooded her. His paranoia, his rage, his executions, the wives, the sons, the nobles he destroyed. She whispered, "No more." Outside, officers waited in tight formation. Their faces were carved with fear, fear of Herod even in death, fear of disobeying his final decree. A captain bowed to Salome. "Shall we begin the executions?" The question hung like a blade over the courtyard. Salome felt the entire kingdom watching her. Her voice cut through the silence. "No, not a single elder will die today." The soldiers stared, stunned. The shadow of Herod seemed to tremble and break. Alexis raised his voice to the troops. "Herod's reign ends here. Open the gates, set the elders free." The hippodrome doors groaned open. Sunlight spilled across hundreds of terrified elders. For a moment they didn't move, afraid it was a trick. Then a soldier cried out, "You are free!" A gasp rippled through the crowd. Relief shattered their fear. Some fell to their knees, some wept openly, some lifted their hands to heaven. It was the first miracle Judea had seen in Herod's reign. The people of Jericho watched in disbelief as the elders walked home alive. Someone whispered, "The tyrant wanted our tears, but God saved our fathers." And word spread like fire. Herod was dead, and no one mourned. Back in the palace, Herod's sons were already circling power like hungry wolves. Archelaus declared, "Father named me king." Antipas snapped, "He changed his will. I am his heir." Philip remained silent, watching, waiting. But no matter who won the throne, one truth already ruled the streets of Judea. A tyrant had died, and a nation had been spared his final cruelty. That night, Salome stood alone on the balcony. Jericho glowed quietly beneath her. For the first time, the air felt lighter. Alexis approached her. "You disobeyed a king," he said softly. "I saved a nation," she replied. He smiled, the first real smile the palace had seen in years. And Salome looked out over the city, whispering the words Herod had longed to hear, but never earned. "No one weeps for you." Across Judea, people repeated a new saying. The tyrant wanted tears, but the only tears shed were tears of relief. And that became Herod's true legacy.